Welcome to Sober Talk. I'm Dennis and I have lived experience of alcohol. If you or anyone you know is struggling with alcohol, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 222222 or check out their website on aa.org.au. I'll just run through the preamble of Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other. They must solve their common problems and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses or opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to steer sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety.
The quality of this audio recording is very low, but it is the only way we can present this story and it's important. So PBAFM thanks you for being very forgiving.
Hello, I'm Anne and I'm an alcoholic. And yeah, on my sobriety date, the 12th of September 2006 by Gay Ed Bother, and it's like to share my story, and thank you Dennis for asking, and look across more than degree, so it's nice to be able to share some what happened and what it was like and what happened and what got today. And for me being an alcoholic, my life completely changed. And well, when I was drinking, like I was living in a small country town, and I'm sure everybody in the town knew I was alcoholic. Except for me, I was so naive. I had a pretty normal childhood, but I do believe that I was born an alcoholic, and I have other members of the family, and I think my grandpa probably got disease, and I've got other family members that are probably struggling, and and that's irrelevant to me. It's my disease, and I'm the only one that can do what I need to do to live a better life. And for all the years that I drank, I did quite a few years that were fun and made me feel a part of life. And when I picked up my first few drinks, I think like I'll probably I'm nice. I remember having drinks as a child. I give it a few drinks, but nothing significant until I was a bit older and is able to it's working and going out with friends, and I was still underage, but we were drinking in pubs, and and it was really good fun. And but then like as the years got on, I could see that I was drinking harder and faster than a lot of my friends, and a lot of my friends probably maybe one day need to be here too, but it's not about anybody else, it's about me and their behaviour. And like I said, a lot of the years it was fun, and then it wasn't. And I cocked that invisible line and started doing things. I brought up with a Catholic background. My parents wanted me to go to mass, church, and that sort of thing, but they weren't the strict Catholic. We just did the right thing, that lived the life I had good morals. And when I drank, and when I crossed that invisible line, my morals went out the door. And I was drinking and hanging around with the wrong people. Or the drinking in the front bar of the pub, and hooking up with the wrong people, and did lots of shameful things that I put a lot of that stuff to rest with going through the program of AAs at one. But yeah, anyway, for lots of years I drank, and it got worse, and we had our a family business, and I drank my way through that. And I worked really hard, but at the end of the day I'd have a bottle of brandy and just lock myself away and I'd have that, and then I'd still want more. That disease is more for me, like I always wanted more. One was never enough, um, and towards the end of it wasn't the end, but about 8 years before I did stop drinking, and I was drinking brandy, um, and I ended up having the psychotic episodes, and I know today they were due to my alcoholism, and like I said, I was really naive, and I ended up in Greenside in the mental institution, and I was in there for over a month, and I was diagnosed with a mental health problem, which I know today it was actually my alcoholism. I don't have a mental health problem. I have alcoholism, and I'm really grateful that I know that today, and I know what to do about it. And but I, like that was 8 years before I stopped drinking that I ended up in Glenside, and I come out of Glenside and wasn't really going out to drink too much until I started again on light beer, and then it just progressed as it does. Things are progressive disease, and it did in me for sure. And I drank on top of the medication that I was on, and I did that for another 8 years, and then things got really bad, and we sold the family business because of my sickness, and um, I got other dogs, and then the other dogs, they got worse, like I was working for some friends that had a fruit and veg shop, and they were lovely, caring Christian family, and they really tried to help me time and time again. And I joined their um I joined their religion, and they had women that were trying to help me, and I felt involved a little bit, but I just didn't felt like I really belonged, and I realised that it was the music and that was keeping me there. It was all really lovely music and stuff like that, and I realised after a while that that's not gonna help me. So I moved on, and I ended up losing that job because I just kept turning up to work drunk, and it was really demoralising. And I ended up washing dishes at the local pub, and I would have drank there while I was working, but I was turning up drunk when I did turn up for work. That I wouldn't drink with them when I knocked off, because I knew I couldn't guarantee my behaviour in public anymore. I blacked out in pubs, and I just it got to that stage where I couldn't drink in public anymore, so I drank home alone, and ended up jobless, unemployable, and drinking at home alone, and it was just revolting. I remember my sister-in-law coming around to see me at one stage, and I've lived in a lovely home unit in Naracoorte, where I come from, and I the whole floor was covered in empty beer cans, and I had red wine as there as well, and my dear sister-in-law, she just did not know what to do, and she rang the ambulance, and I ended up in the local hospital. So lots of people knew about how bad I was before I did. Like I said, I was really naive. I've known a few about my alcoholism. I didn't know I was alcoholic, full stop, really. And I was saying at one stage I was being a drug and alcohol counsellor, and I'd drive out from here and go straight down to the bottle shop. And um, I remember my father being sick, and he sick with cancer. And he asked me to do something because I seen to detox a couple of times, and got home and just drank again because there was no solution in a detox. It was just you go there to dry out, and so my father, like I said, he was sick with cancer, and he asked me to do something more long term, and he asked me to go to rehab, and so that was the start of what was to happen, and I ended up going to Mm. Now I remember saying to my family, um, how long will this take? And they said, oh, probably about 6 months. Like I'll leave up there like about 6 months. And I thought, how can I take 6 months out of my life? And I'm actually willing to probably the last 10 years of my life anyway. And 6 months, seemed like a long time to me at start, but it was the start of a new life. And, I got to rehab and I stayed. And that to me is a miracle. And I think it was only, I didn't want to go, but because my dad was ill, I thought, I need to go because my mum would still kind of look after me. She's got a sick husband and she would still kind of look after me, which is really quite demoralising. And so, yeah, so I started in the rehab and I think I got to about 4.5 months up there. And my dad did pass away and on, and I'm lucky enough to say that he actually did know that I was 4.5 months over, and that, and that was precious to me these days because, it was him that I went there and, but it was for me in the end. I could see that made it. Thank goodness that, it happened the way it did because I don't know whether I would have got there otherwise. And I've stayed in the rehab and they were able to let me able to go to get funeral. And now I'm so grateful that I was in a rehab because I had poorly people around me. And some of those people, that was 15 years ago, and some of those people are still very dear to me, and two in particular. And, and I, I stayed at the rehab and I stayed in that program for over 12 months. And then I went on towards independence to stay in housing because I wasn't able to go back to the country town where I came from because I knew that I would drink again because I knew that I needed support around me. Although I probably didn't know at that time. But, hindsight's a wonderful thing and I know that I made a fellowship around me. So I was lucky enough that I stayed and I know that today it was something that, like I've found in AA that a higher power has looked after me and has kept me here. And, that to my own devices, I would have run away. I'm a runner. I've can't stick at anything. And for me to be 15 years sober, I know there's something bigger than me that's kept me here. And, they're the gifts of sobriety. But yeah, I stayed in that rehab program for 12 months and then towards independence. And then, like when I was in the rehab program, like I was, I went to the halfway program and, the counsellors at the rehab, they were, I'll say they were forcing me into getting a sponsor and coaching me to do fit work. And I know today that they actually kind of bugged my love. And at the time, I wasn't really interested and that's really when I wanted to run away. But like I said, I knew that if I ran away that I would drink again. So I did stay and persevered and I did do what was suggested. I was taken to a meeting this particular day that I felt really unsettled. I was taken to a meeting and I was introduced to this lady and she said, I said to her, I've been forced into getting a sponsor and then forced into doing step work. And she said to me, you don't need a sponsor at this stage. And you just need somebody, you just need a friend. And she really helped me. She actually really helped me. And she's really gentle with me. And we started reading the big book together. And, I'm very grateful for that person because she, like one of my favourite things in AA was I always want the hand of AA to be there for that I'm responsible. And this lady, she put out a hand to me when I really needed her. And for the alcohol on this day. Mm. So there's also taken to this meeting and this meeting till today, 15 years later, is my home group. I've just kept turning up. And, this lady, she helped me and we started reading the big book together and she just told, it just told me things like never refuse an AA request and, just always be respectful of other people when I'm sitting in a meeting, like, don't get up and down and move around much or, just respect to the person that is speaking and, just really stuff like that. And we started reading the big book together and because I was about 4.5 months old, but I was really fuzzy in the head and I bet you I'm not a good reader and I don't comprehend stuff much and so she pulled out the old Don Charlie videos and we watched on the blackboard and with the step one step one cycle about, putting a teaspoon of alcohol into your system and it starts up the phenomenal craving and then forced to continue. And it just made sense to me after seeing it written in black and white. It just made sense and I was so excited that I realised, wow, it was the reason why I'm an alcoholic. And, I was so excited that I wanted to tell everybody. I wanted to explain it to my mum and my brothers and that and people just said to me they just don't understand. And I know that they don't understand or that my mum wouldn't, and my brothers knows it. Um, but it just made so much sense to me, and made me realise, wow. And I thought this has got a bit of substance, and I stayed, and I didn't stay with that lady for long. She just helped me, and until I was able to get a sponsor and go through those systems. And make amends to those people, 'cause, like, it is a family disease, and, like, there's a ripple effect with, with my behaviour, mm, my behaviour, not losing cup. My poor mum, she lost all faith in me, and I had to gain that back and start getting sentimental, but that's the way it is. And, like I said, I've made amends for a lot of that stuff, and I keep making amends and living amends to my family. I've got good relationships with my family now, thanks to AA. And, like, I've had to grow up in AA. I couldn't, I had no living skills. And, I've forgotten how to get out of bed and have a shower and clean the house. And, I just forgotten how to do all that stuff. The booze is so much more important. And I had to learn all that stuff in AA, and that was the beauty of having a home group. And, we each month we'd go out for dinner, and the dinner was for people to learn how to speak to each other and, like, speak loud out in public. Just amazing that, like, I was book big when I got here, and I had to learn all that stuff. Like, I started drinking when I was probably 15 and I think that was where my maturity stopped, like, and opposite I had to learn all that stuff again. And, I remember I did so much damage to my uncle and auntie and, stayed at their place and drank all their booze out of their cupboard. And, I did, it was just so demoralising. And I'm just so glad that I don't live like that anymore. Like, I have a solution. I live in AA today, and um I have respect for AA because AA had given me so much, and, like, going through this depth and having a relationship with a higher power that I choose to call God because it's a convenient word which suits me. I don't understand my God. I just believe in it. So many things have happened over the years, that is just there's just no other reason. Um, and I know it's God, and that probably is one of the biggest gifts. Well, it is the biggest gift because I wouldn't be sober without it. And my life completely changed today. I have a job. I think that was a real gift too. Like, when I got here, when I was in the rehab program, I had to do some volunteer work, and I started um in a little job in a little coffee shop at a nursing home. in North Adelaide, and then that turned into a little job. I was working a few weekend shifts and 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 then was I was there for a while, and then I got offered a job with my cousins. They had a big fruit and veg shop, and they were like opening a new one, and I went and worked for them, and I was there for quite a while, and it got harder and harder because it wasn't a very good venue. It was a brand new shop and not in the right spot for that business, and so they had to close their doors, and I remember being so devastated with them having to lose this business, and I lost my job, and I remember going to my home group this particular night with the other women. I said, I've just lost my job, and she knew that I wasn't particularly happy there. And she just said to me, that's fantastic. And I thought, oh wow, it is. And it just opened doors, and I always wanted to get into the field of caring and support working, and the shop stuck on the Sunday, and on the Monday I was booked into a first aid course, and the ball just rolled. I ended up getting a job before I had done the trainings, so that the workplace subsidised the payments for the training, and then I was just off and running, and I think I'll probably about 5 years sober because I've been in the job for 10 years now. And the job for me, like I work in the disability sector as a carer in people's homes, and over the 10 years that I've been doing it, I've got a lot of change. But I'll tell you what, for me, and it's about being a service to other people, and the AA had taught me that being a service, and that's what I think it's and having this tool going is being a service to others, that helping other people. That's what I love about AA, talking to newcomers and being a service in AA, and then I take that to work with me, and I be a service to other people. And while I'm being service to other people, my little problems disappear, like at lack of neglect. And and as an adult of that, I live a really good life. I live a very quiet life. I live by myself, and and I have a really good life. And and I turn up at my home group every week, and I've got another home group online, and I love my meetings, and I often get complacent and don't want to turn up to meetings, and get on my lows, and like I'm working through the steps at the moment again with my sponsor, and I'm not that energetic with it, and I know I'm the one that suffers though. So it's a work in progress, and 15 years over, and certainly have not got it sewn up, and one day at a time it is for me, and I keep punching up and doing what I need to do, and like I'm in contact with my sponsor, at least once a week or more, and um, no, and the beauty of having a home group too that I've found over the year, having running buddies and people that I could pick up the phone and talk to if I'm running a bit rough, or I can see if they're running rough, and like if I see that somebody hasn't turned up at the meeting, I'll bring them and check on them, and this stuff I've learned in AA. I've had to turn. It's me that needed to change, and I have, and that, like I said, is it with the Hillsville sponsor and going through the steps and having a higher power. All these things work together for me, and like I said before, I love talking to newcomers. That's the highlight of my day, picking up the phone and talking to any other AA member, and that's our bot of the day, and and I really love that, and I think I'll probably need the time. Annie?
You're doing well there, Dan. Thanks very much.
Okay, well, yes, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much, then, and thank you so much.
Great share, and thank you. We have local meetings for the full week in the local area. Monday is Gala meeting at 8 o'clock. Tuesday is Elizabeth East at 8 o'clock. Wednesday is Elizabeth East at 8 o'clock. Thursday is Two Wells at 8 o'clock. And Friday is Salisbury at 8 o'clock. There's a meeting at Deveron Park at 12 o'clock. And on Sunday there's a meeting in Salisbury at 7 o'clock. And many other meetings in the area. For details of your local meetings, please phone 1300 22 2222. And once again, if anyone you know is struggling with alcohol issues, please call Alcoholics Anonymous on 1300 22 2222. The website is aaSouthAustralia.org.au.